All right, MCW faithful, you already know what time it is. Every Tuesday night at 8, another exciting and insightful edition of the MCW Cast. I'm Legacy MCW announcer Larry Legend.
I'm MCW promoter Dan McDevitt.
And I'm Tara.
And we are once again bringing you a virtual podcast this week. Our very special guest with us, for all of you, the MCW faithful, the legendary Monteasy. Monteasy, thank you for joining us on episode 65 of the MCW Cast.
Oh man, that's a wonderful introduction, my brother. That was amazing, man. You're good at what you do, man. Thank you for having me on, man. I am more than blessed and happy to be here. This has been a long journey, especially with Dan giving me my first opportunity to perform live and to be back home, to be here and to be on this wonderful podcast, to be here for this wonderful episode. I thank you three for even having me on. I'm blessed to be here, man.
Yeah, not a problem.
We're glad you're here. And also I want to pause real quick and say thanks to all of our listeners and followers on YouTube and Facebook who are watching us live and also who are getting this on their favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and CastBox. We really appreciate you subscribing. If you are checking us out on YouTube, make sure that you are hitting that subscribe button so you get all of our notifications because we are not just putting out NCW Cast. We have got a whole lot more content that we are uploading. So make sure that you are in the loop for all of that. Lots of really big things happening right now. And of course, last but not least, thank you Coffee Club members for your continued support. 65 weeks and we are still drinking coffee.
Indeed. And rightfully so, to keep ourselves energized and activated for every episode of the MCW Cast. Now, Monteasy, a lot of people may not know your role and how instrumental you've been in MCW's legacy, but most every MCW fan that's been at one of our shows, one of our live events since 2015 has experienced you, most notably as the composer of one of the most legendary themes in all of MCW. That is the theme of the stable Black Wall Street. How did you get involved with Drolix and just lending your musical expertise to our show?
Oh man, so it's funny because one day a friend of mine named Rich, he's my brother, my blood brother, out in Maryland. He sends me a flyer, and in 2014, I forgot which show it was, but you guys brought Bret Hart and Jimmy Hart out to a show.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey, come on out." So I come out to the show. And I meet Bret Hart and I meet my hero. And we were just sitting there watching the show. Then Black Wall Street comes out. And all of them are there. Amber Rodriguez, him, DeMarcus Kane, Solo. And my friend taps me. He said, "You need to make a song for them." And I'm like, "Yeah?" He's like, "Yeah, you need to make a song for them." He's like, you could do this. You could really take over MCW with your talents if you really do this. And he's like, "Okay." I was like, "Okay." I don't know where to start, but if you can find his Twitter, his Instagram, anything, and whatever details he wants, I'll do it. So me and Drolix ended up getting in touch. I had a blank canvas. We didn't know each other very well. He said stuff about him that he likes, and I went into the studio, picked a random beat that I think he would like that would fit him, and we ended up striking gold on the first song I've ever made. So that song ended up being that's the first wrestler I ever made a song for. And that has carried this, this legacy. And I'm more than thankful to Drolix for the opportunity. I'm thankful to Dan for passing me the microphone and believing in me. And Dan didn't have no tape of me doing anything. And when I did the Shamrock Cup in 15, he just trusted Drolix and he trusted me after speaking to me. He's like, "Here you go. This is your shot." And it ended up being one of the best moments of my life. So I'm glad to be a part of the legacy.
And since then, what other MCW? You've done a lot of songs, right, for the different MCW talent.
Yes, I made Leo's first when Leo first started.
Right.
The tag team Sudden Impact when they were there. I did Amber Rodriguez. I did Solo and DeMarcus Kane together. DeMarcus Kane's music now. The current race champion. I'm doing his music now. There's some couple Drolix has linked me up with a couple of your up and coming guys I did two songs for. Recently I did two songs for maybe about 6 months ago, and a couple of your up and coming guys too. So I've been all over, man. Anything Black Wall Street, and some guys have come and some of the guys in the indies have come and used my music for the show as well when they've been booked on your shows. So it's been a long legacy these 8 years.
Yeah, I noticed DeMarcus, and I think I had reached out to you about when I noticed that doing DeMarcus's music, because he's in a position now. We gave him. I had talked with him. I know you've been close with him, and I've had a lot of conversations with him because I felt like his booking at the times he did singles. He was so instrumental and so important. His his team with Solo was probably. Napalm and Solo, probably one of the most dominant, easily the best tag teams in MCW history.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of got saddled with that. And I know he always wanted to break out and have a breakout opportunity as a singles, but it's, that team was so dominant, always got a reaction no matter where we went. They were just a good looking team together, but he got the opportunity and he's hitting it out of the park. And, I'm just a really big fan of him. He main evented our Spring Fever show. That's the one Hit Row and Swerve and all came in against Kakoa. And I told him after that, like he proved that he belongs in a main event single spot by himself. I'm really proud of him. Everything about him is presenting himself, and obviously his ring music and your ring music, wrestling fans I think know this, but the whole package is important. And so that music, his entrance music that you made him, is part of his presentation and what's helping him kind of take off as a singles competitor. So you definitely have a part in that. I think fans discount that, or don't take that into consideration, how important that is.
Thank you.
We've had guests at the birthday parties ask to use Black Wall Street music, and would ask for the Bruisers music. So it does make a difference. Like they do hear it, and I've had kids where they're like, "Could we have Black Wall Street's music?" It doesn't matter if they're not wrestling. Like they just want that. Like it connected with them in a way that then they wanted to be. Have that moment as well, come down the entrance, hear those first beats, and then, just the whole thing. So it definitely leaves an impact and has made, just left an impression on people. And I think it's really cool, especially just seeing like a young kid come out to some music like that or something. So I think it's really neat.
Thank you. That feeling never gets old. And everybody asks you, it's like, we was talking off screen about like Tom Brady, and what makes you keep doing it? What makes you keep lacing up the boots, or what makes you stay behind the microphone? What makes you do what you love to do? What makes you keep shooting jump shots? What makes you keep doing it? And that feeling of when that music hits and seeing people react to the song that you made is something, whether face or whatever their character is or whatever, just getting any kind of reaction. Just it's something in me that will never, that burning fire will always stay blue lit for me, because I just love seeing that, hey, my voice and the music, as soon as you hear that split second of the music, that automatic reaction says everything. And I'm more than blessed to be able to, and happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it's music in general is something that's so important in wrestling. I think fans definitely understand it from a promoting standpoint. I know I always have over the years, because we have a streaming service and we put stuff online and there's copyright laws, but like when you bring, and I'll see some indies do it, but when a big star comes to our promotion to come out and do an entrance, whether they're doing a surprise or they're just coming in the ring, they're just coming to talk, or whether to wrestle, having that music is just so important. And as a promoter, it's always like, well, do we want to bring them to that or something generic? For me, I never even second guess it. I'm like, well, if we put it online, we just have to cut the entrance out. We put it on our streaming center, we just got to cut the entrance out.
Right.
Because for this live crowd, if it's the Hardy Boys or if it's Kurt Angle, or Rey Mysterio or Sting, like, we gotta bring them out to the music because it's part of who they are. It's really attached to them.
And who was it a few years back that we brought in who wanted to use their new music and not like their iconic music? Who do you remember who that? I can't think of.
I can't remember who it was. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it was an argument in the back.
Yes, and was like literally right before they were about to go out, and they're like, "No, let's use my new music." And we're like,
it's gonna come to me in this podcast, and they I kind of had a little argument with them, and I can't remember who it was.
In my head, I can see them standing on the ramp, and when their music hit, and it. I know who it was. Wasn't it Brian Christopher?
It was.
It was. He wanted to come out.
And he did switch it. And people crapped on it. Rest in peace. You're right. You're rest in peace. Yeah, he did. I was like, no. And then me and him, I had always had a great relationship with Brian Christopher. I've always said good things about him. I don't have anything bad about him. Right. Things he did for me in the early 2000s. I've told it, like Jerry Lawler even had reached out to me one time when he passed away, because I said something about him. I told a story about him, and it kind of like went viral. It got shared all the time, and like he had reached out and thanked me for saying like kind words about him. So he was a great guy. But that moment, like that show, we were like, yeah. And he told that he made the sound, went to the sound guy and had him use his new music, and the music hit, and 600 people just sat on their hands because I wanted to come out the Too Cool.
Yeah.
And
fly today.
Yeah.
And I think it was music he made himself, maybe.
Right.
I feel like it was,
but nobody knew who it was.
But nobody knew.
Oh God! It completely took the impact away. It completely took the impact away of because it was a surprise appearance, wasn't it?
Right.
It was a surprise on the show, so it completely took the surprise away from the impact, away from the surprise.
Just imagine the reaction from the crowd if they heard those first like couple chords to that signature, that Too Cool Rikishi theme song, the pop that they would have given. But if they hear something that is unrecognizable, then they're like, who's that? Like, who's coming out here now,
On another note, do you remember like the Yokozuna show from Michael's 8th Avenue remember that with Shannon Moore? Do you remember that, Larry? Mm-hmm. We had Yokozuna as a surprise at Michael's 8th Avenue. Right. This must have been 2000, 2001. Mm-hmm. And then, and that was like right at the beginning of the show when he came out and he wrestled the Ghetto Mafia team with AJ Fritzoid. Like, it was a good crowd, like 800 or 900 people. Obviously Yokozuna right off TV. So it's a, equivalent today to get, like Drew McIntyre or, Roman Reigns type, like he was, Yokozuna was on top, main event world champion. Then all of a sudden he pops up on our show out of nowhere. So the tore the house down. And then Shannon Moore, this was pre-WWE and pre-WCW. So this actually must have been the late 90s, like 98, 99. And he came out, Shannon Moore came out to the ring to Nirvana. Was it the Nirvana song that was just like Diamond Dallas Page's music in WCW?
Smells like Teen Spirit.
Right. So he came out to that. So Shannon Moore, who wasn't on television and people didn't know, was like 2 matches later, that music hits, that din, 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 right? And the place erupts. Yeah. The place erupts because they thought it was Diamond Dallas Page, because we had just given them Yokozuna as a surprise. And then Shannon Moore comes out and the people are like, like, what the hell? So that's, you know what I mean? It's just on the opposite end of how much it was. We laughed about it. We had a good laugh at the time because we didn't realize like as that music's hitting and I'm going, man, that sounds just like DDP's music. And as that's happening, I'm hearing Michael's 8th Avenue erupt and I'm like, oh my God, they think it's DDP. And then it wasn't. So.
And this was when everybody was using radio music.
Right.
I mean, we weren't worried about copyright because we weren't streaming anywhere. You were trading VHS tapes with your buddies. Like, so it wasn't an issue. So it made sense. But it's interesting to me how that, somebody can just identify with that song. Monteasy, when you're making music for an artist, I know you had mentioned like with Drolix, you didn't really know him that well. So how did you come up with what would be that hook, like, and just make that iconic music when you're working with someone that you don't know really well? Like, what is it that you look for to try to make something like that?
It's kind of changed over time because a lot of the people I end up having some kind of relationship with, and I'd say now There's about 60% people that I know before I make songs for them.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, I didn't know anybody. So a lot of it was just going off instinct. I would watch matches. I would see how their character was. And I still do that now. But back then, it was different when I didn't know them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no kind of, but it was no blanket. It was just, I was going off a gut feeling. I was just going off, he's either going to really like this and I put everything I have into it, or I'm going to have to go make something else. But I gave him a few selections of sounds to choose from. The one that you guys end up hearing is the one he chose. Mm-hmm. And I just took some of the notes that he gave me and I just went off my own instincts. And when he heard it and I saw the footage of the response when I first made it, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. But to see that it's lasted this long and it's been legendary for the great fans at MCW, I never could have expected that, because I was like, wow, I didn't know what I was doing, man. I just went off I just go off instincts. Now I kind of have more of a formula. I kind of know what's going to work, what's not. But back then, I had no idea, man. And to see where this has gone is just, it's a blessing. It's a true blessing.
That's great.
Does anyone know who the first wrestler to use music was? Does anyone know who first used entrance music? Because for a long time there was no entrance music. Wrestlers would just.
Was it the Freebirds? I think it was the Freebirds.
Dan, do you know?
No, I'm assuming you looked it up on Google, or you just generally asked.
I have no idea. I know that for me, the first time that I heard it on WWF was at WrestleMania 3. Junkyard Dog came out to Queen's Another One Bites the Dust. And I remember a lot of other wrestlers didn't have theme songs back then. I think Macho Man used, the Pomp and Circumstance. Yeah, but I remember JYD came out to Another One Bites the Dust. I'd like to find out if any of our MCW faithful know the answer and are watching this cast right now on YouTube or Facebook. Get involved in the chat or talk to us on Twitter. I'd love to know, because I honestly don't know. I remember the first time I can remember music having an impact on me while watching wrestling, it was with JYD. But it's an interesting thing to find out, the first wrestler to use an entrance music to kind of signal I have arrived.
And if you don't know, look it up on Google and put it in the comment sections below, and you'll seem like you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Let's see if I'm wrong. I heard it was the Freebirds, but if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, guys.
Did you hear that? Right?
I heard that. But that's just hearsay.
I don't know. To some Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama. That was the Freebirds, or
they come out to Freebird, right, in Texas. I mean, that was
probably,
And Michael Hayes, he wrote his own music, right? Or was it Bad Street at Bad Street?
Yeah.
Now, was that something he wrote for when he was in WCW, or did he have that back in the I guess world class days? Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, we should find out. So if anyone's in the chat, let us know right now.
And also tell us in the comments what is some of your favorite entrance music in professional wrestling. For me, I tell you what, I loved Sting's original music. I hated, I'm not a man called Sting, but the, down, like that. Did you remember Sting's entrance when he was blonde-haired Sting?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And obviously the Ultimate Warrior, but obviously I'm connected to those.
I only know he's a man called Sting, and that lady, that lady who used to lay those vocals down for those old WCW themes. I loved anything she did. Any song that lady was Steiner Line or whatever. I love that soul. Everybody, here comes Too Cold Scorpio. All of that, whatever that lady did, I love. I'm not as familiar with the original Sting theme song.
Yeah, Lex Luger had some good ones too back in the days. Back in his young days when he first started, he had some really good ones. And through the 80s and 90s, Lex always switched his up, but he always had good ones. He always had good songs. Just the music was always amazing for Lex.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, his music when he was his original stuff that he had when he was a baby face used to get me fired up when he was coming. So absolutely. So
there's definitely been some very memorable entrance music, but I'm also thinking and kind of laughing to myself about some of the less positive musical ventures that some of the wrestlers have gone off and done, like making albums and so forth. Like I'm thinking of, I've got the Hulk Hogan one. I have that on cassette tape, like it's ancient. But there's been some.
Or the Macho Man rapping.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I was the biggest.
What?
I was the biggest Randy Savage fan, but
it
damn,
wasn't that bad, man. It wasn't that
really.
bad.
I don't know.
It was cheesy, but
Yeah.
it was just cheesy because it was him.
Yeah,
like the stuff that he was saying, I was like, you know what? I wasn't there, but
yeah,
he had the format together.
right. So you don't give him a fail. You don't give him a fail.
No. I've actually heard worse from professionals.
Yeah, it was cringe for me, but I was such
corny.
a Randy Savage
It was corny,
fan.
but I was like, you know what? I love Randy so much. Maybe I'm giving him a pass because I love him so much. But I don't know, man. I'm just, you turn on the radio today, you ain't gonna hear much better. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and to be fair, there are some who have managed to do both, such as Mickie James.
She's
with her,
she's amazing.
I'm still
trying to work with her to this day. I'm still trying to get a song with her. She's super busy.
Yeah, and her country strong music and everything. It really it suits her perfectly.
Now, you bring up a really good point there, Monteasy. We know that Mickie James kind of has her foot firmly planted in that kind of country western sound. And from what I gather about the music that you've produced, you're way more, hip-hop with it, a lot more urban with the sound that you produce out there. Have you ever had any opportunities to do like rock or kind of operatic pieces like Shinsuke Nakamura? Nakamura has right now a very kind of orchestral, but also like hip-hoppy theme, where the two genres, if you will, they kind of mesh together. Have you ever had any opportunities to do kind of things that were kind of out of your comfort zone or not what we were expecting to hear from you?
I love those. Those are the ones I want to do. Because those take time, and those are ones that are challenging. And anything with a live band, live instrumentation, I have to change things around. And it can't just be like it's not going to be like a Drawlets record. It's going to have a different type of inflection. My voice is going to have to be different. I can't write it the same. It's going to have to be, I have to move to the instruments. I can't have my voice overpower the song as I have to go with what the instruments are saying do. And it is amazing to be able to do those songs. I love it. Anytime I can get with a band and just do something that is totally different and have to do different inflections and have to try different things out and work. Me and the lead singer of the band will work on the song together. It's just a whole different dynamic. And I absolutely love it. I've actually had songs I've had to do that, where I've had to collaborate with bands and do stuff before. And I wish I could go on like a world tour of just doing those songs. Those songs, that right there is a dream to me, man. Great question, because I would love to do more of those.
Well, I think that would be a pretty good collaboration with you and Mickie James. That hardcore country. Change that up. I would love to. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Amazing. I would love to switch it up and do that. I was speaking to shout out to Tasha Steele. I was speaking to her, and she's trying to make that happen because that's one of my best friends, and she's trying to make that happen for Mickie and myself. And I'm staying on her about that. That has to happen. I gotta do that.
Have you talked to Mickie actually?
I have not. She knows who I am, but I've not spoken to her directly. I've spoken to Tasha has spoken to her, obviously with them working together at Impact, but I have not spoken to her directly. But I would love to. I would love to set that.
We can put that word in for you.
Yeah, we know her personally, all of us.
Please, anything you guys can do. That's on my bucket list. List.
That'd be great. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other ventures that you have going on. So everyone stay with us. We'll be right back on the MCW cast with our special guest, Monteasy.
Real quick, the first thing we'll go over when we get back, because I know we've been pushing it for the last couple of days, is our announcement that we got to make.
That's right.
So we'll make that coming out of the break.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
You already know your child is a wrestling superstar, so give them the chance to prove it by stepping into the ring with the most memorable birthday they will ever have. A party at the MCW Arena is a one-of-a-kind experience that gives kids of any age a chance to live their dreams and be a part of the show. Every guest will enjoy the celebration as they make memories that will last a lifetime. So skip the ball pits and trampolines and visit MCWProWrestling.com to sign up for an MCW birthday party today.
And we are back here on the MCW cast. Thanks for checking us out and listening. Our special guest tonight is Monteasy. And before we went to break, we were just speaking about some of his musical accolades and accomplishments, and we're going to keep talking about that. But first, MCW co-owner Dan McDevitt has a special announcement.
And I apologize for waiting till halfway in. I know we've been pushing to the fans, so we had an announcement to make. But basically, for the fans that have been following us for years, they know we had an event in December that was the last call. It was MCW last call, and it was crazy leading up to it. It was when COVID was rampant throughout the country and everybody was getting it, and leading up to it, we had probably 10 cancellations and probably 30 or 40 fans easily were emailing us and so upset that like they were going to miss the last show at the MCW arena because someone close to them had caught it. And then it was a great night, and the night ended with Ken Dixon becoming the MCW champion. It was emotional for everybody, especially our fans that have been there. And when that happened, basically we knew we had been given notice that we had to be out of the arena by February 28th, that everything was going to be terminated, you know, as far as our lease, and the owner of the Joppa Market was going to no longer be there. And there was rumors floating around of Planet Fitness and other big box stores that were having leases going in there. And regardless, for the 8 years that we were there, we subleased, if anybody understands that. We were leasing from the owner of the building, and we knew we couldn't extend. People were, wondering why, that we had 2 months. We're asking about why we didn't try to squeeze in one more show. But the reality was we had so much stuff to break down there. We knew we needed a couple months to get moved out and kind of get moved into our own place. And then we also had this big weekend in February, at the beginning of February, that was in Hollywood and then over in Glen Burnie at Le Fontaine Bleu. And it was 2 conventions and 2 shows in one weekend. So it was like 4 events in one weekend. And about a week before that, we got a call from the owners of the shopping center. And the owners of the shopping center said they had an idea to do something different with the shopping center. And that they were wondering if we would consider staying. And me and Dennis weren't able to get together with them for a week or 2 until after the events in February. And when we did, we sat down, and it's been a really ongoing couple months negotiation. And they've been really good with us with allowing to keep the school there and agreeing that if we couldn't come to terms on something long term, they'd give us like 60 days notice so that we could move out. And that way we can continue to operate the school and the birthday parties while we were trying to get to these negotiations. And essentially the announcement is we're staying. It looks like we're going to be staying at the MCW arena. And we're going to be continuing to have events there. There was some things that we negotiated that the building owners, that we said in order for us to be able to do this, which one of the big ones was air conditioning and ventilation.
Amen to that.
And you were there in the summer for a Shamrock Cup. I remember many, especially the one the night Roddy Piper was there. With people were covered in sweat. We tried to do what we could. When we had events there, we brought in air conditioning units, but it just really wasn't possible to kind of keep the place cooled efficiently to where people were comfortable. And they've agreed to do these things. And they've already started renovating the building and changing things. So we're going to be coming back, but we don't have an announced date yet. We have our big event in May. Obviously, coming up this weekend, we have Breakthrough and Havre de Grace. Then we'll be in Millersville in May, and that's just a huge show with Baltimore Celeb Fest for another all day. And we're going to be on Fight on pay-per-view that night. with the Hardy Boys main event in the show. And then we have Tall Cedars on June 18th. We're hoping at some point this summer or the fall. And that's the other thing. I had a lot of questions, and maybe people can understand. We haven't been hiding anything. Obviously, anybody that's been a fan of MCW knows that I've always believed in complete transparency with the fans. It's just been a lot of negotiations. That's why we also don't have the back half of 2022 announced as far as a calendar, when usually every year at the beginning of the year, we announce all our dates. We put the calendar up on the website, and here's everything we got. Here's when all the shows, because obviously I know our fans have jobs and they do other things on weekends, so they like to know when our events are. That's why that hasn't been, because we were tearing down the MCW arena starting to tear down and break things down and get stuff moved out after the last call show, and heading into, we were going to go into a building that, like a warehouse, that we were just going to do the school and birthday parties at. We weren't going to be able to do shows because it just didn't work. That's why we were bouncing around, looking at Tall Cedars, looking at Lake Fontainebleau, making calls, to some other places to try to line up shows, to try to find a new home. But we weren't really finding what we were looking for. So this call from the owners of the shopping center, the actual owners of the shopping center, came out of nowhere. And then it's just been a couple months of negotiation, and also trying to not get our hopes up. Because at first we were like, hey, we're going to need to do all these things. We're going to need you to do these things at the building. And, commercial air conditioning stuff, like, people realize it's not just like putting an air conditioner in your house, which is expensive enough, $3 or $4 grand to put a unit in. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, literally, to cool down a whole shopping center the size of that building.
Air ducts and stuff.
Air ducts and everything that needed to be updated and all, because we had looked into it, but it was, well over $100,000 that needed to be done. So, we weren't sure, like, hey, are they going to be able to do this stuff? And we had kind of been handicapped where we felt like we couldn't run shows at certain times of the year. So they're doing everything. We just don't have a date. But Monteasy, I like to ask you right now, because you've been such a part of us. When we get that date together, I'd love for you to maybe come back up, maybe sing the MCW Rage TV champion DeMarcus Kane to the ring with his entrance music, because it's going to be a big celebration when we come back.
Oh man, I would, man. If you want me there, boss man, I am there. I am more than honored. Thank you for asking. From 15, it's the last time I was there when you gave me the microphone and you was like, "Hey kid, let's see what you got." And to be invited back, it means the world to me, man. And I would surely do the honors, and whatever you need me to do, man, I would love to do it.
Yeah, I'd love to have you there. And one other announcement, we can get on with your podcast, Tara. I know we talked about this. So for the fans that were there on the last call, technically, even going forward, we're going to return. You still were at the last show at the MCW Arena, because what me and Dennis have decided, and talking with Tara, and I think it would be special, the Bruiser was such a huge cornerstone of MCW and our history, and just really behind the scenes and being part of us. When we come back, whenever that is, when we have our comeback show there, we're going to rename the building the RJ Meyer Arena. So it'll no longer be known as the MCW Arena. Going forward, it'll be, from now on, from the time we come back, it'll be the RJ Meyer Arena when we return, in memory of RJ the Bruiser. So,
amen, man.
So we'll have to get the champagne out and hit the wall and break it in.
Christen the new building.
Christen the new RJ Meyer Arena.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look forward to it. I know it's going to be exciting the next couple months, and I'm sure the fans are going to be excited, wanting to know what. But trust us, the construction and everything has to be done, and we just got to get everything in place. And we're shooting maybe the fall, possibly the summer, but hopefully in the next month or two, we'll be able to announce a definite date. We may not have, and bear with us again for the people that I understand, try to make plans. Once we know when we don't want to throw a bunch of dates out there and then have to keep pushing them back. If you guys remember when we were coming back, when we first closed down, when the world closed down because of COVID, it was like a mistake we kept making. We kept saying, okay, another month. Okay, 2 more months. All right, 2 more months. And we were putting up dates, and then we had tickets online, but then, we weren't kind of paying attention to what was going on. We had like 5 or 6 shows that we had to keep pushing back. So we don't want to throw a date out there now and then in 4 weeks. So you know what? Things aren't going to be completed, or they're going to be in the middle of construction. Because when you're putting it in and tearing out air ducts and all that stuff, there's dust flying around. So the building's not going to be, in the best condition to have crowds in there. So once we have a better idea of when we can actually announce a date, and we'll definitely be able to come back, you'll hear it on social media and the website, and we'll get the date to you, Monteasy, and get you in there. So
thank you.
So very good.
Yeah, well, as the late, great Gorilla Monsoon would say, what a happening that's going to be when we christen the MCW arena, the RJ Meyer Arena, whenever that date's going to be. And Monteasy will already be in the building. So everybody, you better be down there.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for this. I'm ready.
Yeah.
We just had Swerve. In. Who it was good.
Who's that guy? I never heard of him.
You do a podcast with him, right? So you guys close friends, probably best friends, right?
That's my brother, man.
Yeah.
One of the few people I take a bullet for, man. One of the few.
Yeah. You've been doing your thing with him for a while. What do you guys do? A podcast a couple times a month, right? Swerve City. Where can the people find it?
Yes. If you guys go to youtube.com/Swerve City Podcast, all digital platforms. Like the great Tara said, with all those platforms as well, you can find our podcast as well and stream it. And we have great interviews with a lot of the greats in wrestling from WWE, AEW guys. If you guys are interested, please go to youtube.com/Swerve City Podcast. Again, we are on episode, I believe, 59 right now for us. So we're going in seasons. We're moving. We've been doing this since 2018. We started on Instagram Live on 2 beanbags. Just kind of going with the flow. We built our team. We got our cameramen. We got our audio guys, and we built it together. So now we're years in, and we have some very special guests coming. If you check out the last one, we just had Mark Henry and Dave McGregor on there, and we had a great interview with those guys. Mark Henry is hilarious, and we had a great conversation, and I look forward to doing more. We have a lot more coming up. We're working on getting to give you guys an exclusive. We're working on getting Michael Cooper from the Los Angeles Lakers on there next from the Showtime Lakers, because I know he got some stories. So if we can get one of those Lakers from back in the days on the show and talk his stories about those good old Showtime Laker days that he can tell us, I'd be very, very happy to do that. So that's the next big thing, next big get we're working on. But yeah, man, that's where you can check out our podcast on all digital streaming platforms, and youtube.com/Swerve City Podcast, and my personal podcast, Teasy's Tables, on there as well. I have guests on there where I interview people and have fun. We kind of switch up. I was more motivational on that side, so definitely.
Man, you're hitting it out of the park. You got your own podcast and all too, huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to get out here, brother.
You've always been a grinder. I've been telling you that for years, man. I love your grind. I always respect your grind.
Thank you, man. And you've it makes me feel good to see that the man who opened the door for me, you and Drolix opened the door for me in this business, and to every time I talk to you, for you to say, "Hey, man, I'm proud of you. I see what you're doing. I've seen the work you've put in," and it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to hear that from you. And every time I talk to Drolix, for you guys to say how proud you are, it means a lot, because I just try to. From the very beginning, when I first got that microphone, you handed me the microphone. It was just me and you back there. You said, "Go ahead, man. It's your turn." And to see where that has turned into these years later, it means a lot. And you've done so much for me, and I'm more than thankful for it, Dan. Thank you so much.
What happened on that? There was some panic, right, when you first went out. What happened? Did they blow the music? Did the music guy?
It was the wrong thing. It was the wrong song at first, and I was just like.
Right. I remember you panicked, and I remember I looked at you and said, "Hold on, catch your breath." Remember that? Yeah, I was like,
dude, I like that. that moment, I don't even feel that. Like now, I'm cool as a cucumber now. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
cute.
yeah. You just got to stop and reset. As I said, stop, reset, like catch your breath. Yeah, I remember. Was Skip doing sound?
I'm sure.
God,
I'm sure.
God bless him. May Skip
in
rest in peace. Rest in peace. He passed away.
Oh, God
this
bless.
past
Amen.
year.
Amen. God bless.
But man, Skip, I love him, and Skip, he had a tendency to mess up a lot of cues on music. God rest his soul, man. God rest his soul.
Well, if smoking was allowed in buildings, I'm sure we'd have been okay. But
right. That's what happened. Skip would, and he was a part of our family. And I know over the years there was times like, we should have probably parted. But that was one thing. He would slip out the door, like in between, and I'd be, we'd be waiting for a music cue and it's no music. And we're looking and Skip's outside smoking a cigarette. God bless him, man. He was great. He was with us for a long time, but he probably was. I do remember that. I distinctly remember that because it was that or the wrong song or something. And it was like, yeah, or that, or maybe he started playing that he was supposed to be playing. He was playing the song with your voice on it when he was supposed to be playing the instrumental, I think.
Got you. Yeah.
Because it hit and you were singing and you're like, oh my God. And then like, here's my moment. I'm not going to be able to sing him to the ring. And I was like, nope, and I yelled, stop the music, cut. And we just reset and we did it.
Yep. And my whole equilibrium went normal. I said, okay, I got this. I got this. I saw how calm you were. I was like, okay, I'm good. Like I can, for my first time doing it, that was a night, man. And I got to thank you again, man, because you didn't have to do that. Especially you didn't have no footage of me. You didn't even know who I was, but you took Jarla's word and.
Well, and I heard your music, man. I like when they'd send me the songs and I was like, man, this guy's talented. And honestly, you kept, some people think, you have to, you chip away. I always tell the story of like Patrick and Leo, man, when they started like, the guys, the trainers always tell, I probably say this too much because I guys hear this and say, oh, this is what I need to do. But I love guys' passion. And Patrick and Leo were starting out at the wrestling school and they were just so hungry that they had like got my phone number and they would text me at like midnight. And at the time, I had like a 3-year-old daughter, but they were so passionate and like and grinding and just pushing on so much to ask me questions about wrestling that I respected that. And I was like, man, you know what? Like in normal, like I don't want to be bothered with it, but these guys are so hungry. I thrive off that, like that energy, you know what I mean? And that was the same with you. You were just so passionate and you kept just kind of pushing and like asking me. And it was, you look back and some of the people that I've helped, and I don't know, but I remember that. I remember being like, man, this guy wants it. He wants it really, really bad. And he's not willing to let anything stand in his way. So you just kind of respect that grind and like, all right, let me give this guy a shot. Because he's talented, his song's good, and he just doesn't want to stop. You have that like nothing's going to stop me mentality, and you've always had that, and I just respect that, because I think that's so important to be successful in anything. I think we were talking off air, just the LeBron James, Tom Brady. One thing that always sticks with me, it's a story I always tell when I was a young guy in ECW and Bam Bam Bigelow would give advice. He gave it because he would talk like young guys would be hanging out, not doing anything, not in the ring. And he would tell stories about when he was like in the NWA and trying to really get his name out. And he would watch Ric Flair, who was the traveling NWA world champion, would go around the shows and he'd be in the ring with young guys working out. At the time, maybe the young guys were like Brad Armstrong and guys like that.
Yeah.
But you got Ric Flair, the traveling world champion, arguably at the time the best in the game. And he's in there with young guys saying, hey, how do you do this? Or how do you do that? And Bam Bam Bigelow said, the day you stop, he said, always remember this, the day you stop learning is the day you stop learning is the day you think you know everything. Like
Amen.
Never stop grinding, and that always stuck with me. He's like, so when I'd see Bam Bam Bigelow would say, when I'd sit and look at Ric Flair in the ring before the show, wrestling around with the young guys, asking them questions, I would say to myself, like, you never stop learning, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So, and that's
You never stop. You never stop. I still don't feel like I've made my best song yet, man.
right.
I feel like I still have so much more to do, and without, you know, with the resume and doing as much as I've done, I'm grateful and I'm happy about that. But it's just more to do. I want wrestling music to be at the Grammys. I want wrestling music to be nominated for Grammys every year. I want wrestling music to become something way bigger than just a subgenre to some people. I want it to become a worldwide thing, and to become something where it's just not, well, music for wrestlers is not just a niche thing. It's more of a worldwide thing. It's something that anybody can do for a profession. And I want to take this to a bigger and more, you know, prominent level. Anything I could do to do that, you know, that's a goal that me and Swerve have. You know, I'm not proud of him, because for me mentoring him rapping and seeing what he's doing now, to see how he's taking that torch and doing it his way, and making things and taking it and building it his way. It's a building block in success in what we're trying to do. And it's not just stopping here. We're trying to take it to bigger and better levels.
So you came together. So is that, how did you guys come together?
We met at the Shamrock Cup in 2015 when he wrestled Leo.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
That's the first time. Funny, MCW has everything to do with this.
Yeah.
MCW has a root in how all this happened.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
So at the time he had his merch table, I had my little table. We was right next to each other. I didn't know him very well. I didn't know him. At the time I was really tight with me, and Leo was really tight. So I ended up meeting him, and it's funny because my manager, he was like, "You're gonna end up working with Swerve on something." He says this to me while Swerve's sitting right there. I'm like, I don't even know him. I'm like, okay, I kind of brush it off. And before you know it, 3 years later, now we're working together and doing everything together. And it's funny, he texts me that all the time. I was like, look at God, bro. You was not wrong. But just funny how it all happens, because we met, we took a picture at the Cup, and we kind of keep in touch. We took each other's number. We didn't really speak like that. You know, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. And then 2 years later, I book a random podcast just to interview him in the studio. I book him. I bring him to my the studio that I record at in my city. Me and Swerve do an interview. It's actually all on all the YouTubes and platforms. We sit down, we talk. We don't know each other from a can of paint. And before we do the interview, I have my notes in my hand. Now, the notes in my hand are like traditional wrestling questions any wrestler will get asked. Before the camera, you see me on camera crumple up the paper and throw it away, and I just organically ask him questions. Ask him nothing about wrestling. And he said, that's the best thing you could have done. So after we do that interview, he says, hey, you want to do a podcast together? I still don't know the man from a can of paint very well. He just asked me to do a podcast with him. And our relationship is very organic, because it wasn't built off it wasn't brotherhood, then business. It was business first. And we became a brotherhood. So it was a lot of show and prove with each other on, okay, the podcast is here, can you be here type thing. I've never let that man down. He's never let me down. If we said we're going to be somewhere these past 5 years, I've been there. You know what I mean? And that's how we keep our word to each other. We talk every single day. That's my brother. He's a godfather of my kids. And, you know, anything that he needs, I've been there for him, and vice versa. So we keep each other word accountable. We keep each other accountable. And that's how we work each and every day.
Yeah, and that's the best thing you can do, man. Have an accountability partner like that. It's just, you know, and that's why you both are doing kick-ass things. You know what I mean? When you have someone like that and you drive each other and hold each other accountable, that's awesome. I had no idea asking you that question that you guys met at the Shamrock Cup.
Yep, the first time we ever met was at the Cup. The same one you were speaking of previously about Roddy Piper, the last appearance he made. At the Cup, right? The Cup was the last appearance Roddy made for you guys?
Yes, yeah. He passed away like 10 days later.
Yep, that was the same one you was talking about. I stood in line, took a picture of Roddy. That night, did the show, the same show you was talking about, and I met Swerve that same night for the first time.
I probably don't remember you being there at that one because of the heat exhaustion. Like that we were talking about. That was freaking brutal. That was freaking brutal that night. I
was in line, man. I was like, God is on here, man.
It was like the I think was like one of the hottest day of the year on that particular cup. Every Shamrock Cup in July that we did, you know, at the MCW arena, which is one of the reasons we were like, we got to get air conditioning if we're going to stay here. Was, you know, but that one with Piper, it was brutal. It was bad.
Shout out to you guys, man, for all you've done for the fans. I would give a shout out to all three of you for all you've done for, not only the fans, but just, and not only entertaining the fans, but for all these years that you guys have put the work in. And a lot of times it seems very hard for people to get their flowers for things that they do. Some people do two things and they receive all the accolades for two things. And then you have people that have to literally jump off a building to get some kind of credit. But, you guys, what you three and the whole MCW family, Danny Mays, everybody from the locker room that has come up, from the past to the present to the future to people, you guys all are amazing folks. And I'm such a fan of what you guys are doing. And Dan, for you to have the great reputation you have, for everybody you've put on, you know what I mean? I want to thank you personally as well for all you've done, because it's a lot. It takes a lot in this game, and there's a lot of things that tempts you to go the wrong way sometimes. But if you stay in the moral code and you stay within your spirit, what's the right thing to do, you'll never go wrong, man. And I thank you for that.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. You don't know how much I appreciate. That's all I ever ask from people, and for me is, as a performer in the ring, guys, when you're a performer, I'm sure it's the same way on stage. You're driven by, as you get better and you start to get over and you go out and you perform and you get that energy from the crowd. But me as a promoter, I get that same energy when I watch people like yourself or the Leo or Tahuti and, everybody, all the people that do when they start to move up the ladder and they make it and they go on and to me, it's like my kids growing up, and like to know that I had a little part to do in those achieving that. I get that same satisfaction. We all do. Tara's, huge behind the scenes. Larry, we all do, that have been around forever. It's like our kids, just kind of like the birds that fly out of the nest, and watching our kids go on to do these amazing things is really awesome for us,
One thing too, I was speaking on RJ, man. I used to hit him up all the time, and he was another one that used to give me advice. It was really three people I used to speak to at MCW all the time, like for advice. It was actually four. Got to give a shout out to Ken. Give a shout out to Ken, yourself, Dan, Drolix, and RJ. And RJ would always hit me, hey man, I'm proud of you of what you're doing. And we'd always talk and have great conversations. And I see what you're doing, man. Keep making that music. And when he first heard about the podcast years ago, we messaged about it, and just everything that has happened, man. And it means a lot to me for you guys for all this, because me, when I first did that, I didn't foresee, when I made the song for Drolix, I didn't foresee all this. I just knew I had to keep going. And I know that this way wasn't trailblazed this way. And everybody asked me this question, and it's great because I can answer it here from where I started. Everybody's like, why didn't you just continue to go the WWE route and make songs for it? Because I wanted to get into the grassroots. I wanted to start where everybody else started. I didn't want to feel like I made songs for WWE guys. And yeah, you got respect because you did it, but you're not in the game. And I wanted to hit the road with the guys. I wanted to get in the cars with them. If I'm performing on the cars with them, I wanted to take the road trips with them. I wanted to show that I'm a part of this, and I wanted to be a part of the game in any way I needed to do. You know what I mean? There's times I've helped pull chairs from the back of the arenas with everybody else, just to prove myself. You know what I mean? Just to prove myself on what I feel, is right for the business. And if I'm being accepted in, then I have to, I'm gonna do my part like anybody else. And I'm glad I took that route instead of just trying to do. No offense to anybody else who's done it that way, but for me and for my morals and the way that I stand for things, I have to be in the trenches. I want to be in the trenches from the guys on the come up to the guys that I want to be where everybody is. So if I can start in independence and sit down with everybody and build relationships, that's why, at the time my manager's like, hey man, make sure you talk about the time that you were standing outside waiting to give Dan your CD at the one of, I think it was a Winter Blast, and Booker T was there, and you were standing outside, and I was standing outside. He's like, hey man, the event's not open yet. I just want to give Dan the CD after the show. And Drops was like, hey man, just stand out, just be patient. I'll get you in. And I stood there, man. We stood there, and it was me, my friend Richard, and my man Will. And
right.
You guys were was pulling everything, and we just stood to the side. And at the end of the show, Drops was like, here you go. Give Dan. Let's talk to Dan about you performing. Give him a CD of your music, and you took the song, you took the CD. You said thank you. We'll be in touch. Thank you for coming.
Was that in Hollywood? Was that in Hollywood?
That was Hollywood. Yep.
Yeah, with Booker
that was Hollywood.
T. Yeah.
And I was like, hey man,
remember things.
And I sat back and I was like, you know what, this is an amazing feeling. But I felt like I earned it. And that's what I know how the wrestling business and the etiquette is. And I just felt like I earned it just to be able to give you that CD. That's all I wanted to do. And it meant the world to me for you to, just give me that time. So I always appreciate that.
And it's hard, man, because, you grinded through that like white, I always call it like the white noise. Because the bigger you get, and obviously, we're not WWE on any level, but we're definitely one of the top, I don't mind patting ourselves on the back and saying we're in the probably top 10 independent promotions in the country. We've been around 30 years doing that. So I get so much. I'm so overwhelmed. Like Tara's very much like a gatekeeper for me. RJ was for years. I get so many people just trying, and it's like, it's never that I'm never trying to ignore anybody. I understand. It's just like people, like the wrestlers want a chance, referees, managers, people like, hey, can I get into MCW? It's just very overwhelming. And I have a daughter and a family and another job. And if I just like had conversations with everybody, I literally could spend 100 hours a week just talking to people and having conversations with everybody that either wants to get a chance to wrestle for MCW, referee for MCW, do something behind the scenes. I get, it's like every fan, I feel like at one time is like, hey, I don't want to wrestle, but Dan, is there anything I can do behind the scenes? I want to be in the business. And it's just not enough time in a day. So like,
it's not built for everybody, man.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not,
and it's not, but you know what? The people like yourself that grind, that refuse, that like, hey man, I don't, you just gotta find a way to get through the white noise, and you did. And I don't, I never regret when people get through like that, and I'm proud of, because they just, that grind and that hustle, and not everybody has that too. A lot of people say I want to get involved in it, but the business breaks your heart. The wrestling business breaks your heart, but you need to have your heart broken. And you need to be disappointed. And then you get to a point kind of where you're at, and we should give you your flowers, right? Because it's not just MCW music, but Sammy Guevara, right?
Yes,
you're doing a lot with AEW right now. So when they're watching Sammy Guevara on TV, that's you. That's your music, and you're doing for a lot of others,
right?
Big Swole, yeah.
Yes, Big Swole. When Morrison and Miz were doing the rap skits, I did a lot of co-writing for that behind the scenes.
Wow.
I did a lot of co-writing for a lot of stuff. WWE does their little switches of the words and stuff, but I did the basis of what they did. I submitted a lot, and they used a lot of the stuff that I wrote. And man, I've just, for WWE, and I've been blessed, man, to be able to have these opportunities. And like you said, even with Hollywood, man, I just knew the best thing you can do is be a professional and wait your turn. Right. Man's a busy man. He's running the show. This is not about me. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna watch the show. If I get an opportunity to speak to Mr. McDevitt, I will. If I don't, I'm gonna come back when the time is right, and we'll do it again. But I have no, it's like you said, having heartburn. And it's about testing. You have to test people too. You have to see where they're at mentally. You have to see where people are at, because if you give people exactly what they want immediately, or if you just do things in a way, it's like, okay. You got to see how much they want it. How much do they want to believe that this is for them? And just the way that everything's happened, I feel like I've just always, some people take the elevator. I just feel like I've always had to take the stairs, and that's fine.
That's the best way, though. That's the best way.
It's the best way. I love taking the stairs to everything, man. I feel like I've earned it. And I've earned valuable, great relationships. And I've been able to make friends and have family with some great people in the game. And I wouldn't regret it and change anything the way I've done it.
And real quick, to say something, to give anybody advice that might be listening, because one key component is you were from the beginning, and still to this day, unbelievably respectful and courteous and just a good human being. And I say that to bring up because there was like a guy just recently, I'm not going to throw his name out there, but he's a guy that was like, he had emailed me a couple times. And then like a week and a half ago, he wrote me like a crappy message on Messenger. He was trying to get behind the scenes in wrestling, and I didn't respond to him, but I get 150 in, Facebook messages a week. And he wrote like this real crappy message of like, oh, Dan, I see you read my messages. You're not responding to me. You could at least give me the courteous of a response. I'm trying to get behind the scenes in wrestling. And that guy, like, he'll know if he's listening to this because I blocked him and blocked him from Facebook. And like, all right, well, now you little asshole, like now you're not, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't being, it's just like we talk about, I'm swamped. I get, a bunch of stuff. He had messaged me a couple times, and he was trying to get into this business and MCW in particular and asking for me for help, to teach him some behind the scenes stuff. I just busy and hadn't gotten to. And after like 2 or 3, then he writes a crappy message. So like, that's the way not to do it, because you immediately, then you can quickly, now I know the guy, like you stuck out to me and I know you, but you can kind of do things the wrong way and end up sticking out to somebody in the wrong way. Like this guy's like, all right, this guy, I'll never open a door for him, or, he wants me to bring him into the business and help him behind the scenes, but he's going to write me now, like F off. Like that was my,
and you got to be very, very careful. See, one thing I learned, and my granddad taught me this, God rest his soul, is just simply, man, don't walk around leaving burned bridges behind you at every bridge you cross, man, because you don't know who you're meeting. You have to treat the janitor like you treat the owner. Everybody, the owner of the building, like you treat the janitor. Everybody gets treated the same, with the same respect, with the same dignity, with the same value, and you'll never go wrong, because a lot of the way people get successful in life is through relationships. There's only so many doors that you can work hard and grind and push through without somebody saying, okay, here's your door, come on through. But somebody has to do that. And that's only through relationships. And, you can bust your behind working 60, 70 hours, but if you don't treat people right, that door's not going to open. And I've always believed in just treating everybody the same, showing love to everybody, having a belief system in everybody for all of us to be successful. And we can all, like I said, we can all grab a plate and we can all eat together. There's enough food for everybody.
Right. Absolutely.
There is enough food for everybody, but as I said earlier on, you gotta be wary.
And you are very correct, sir. Yes, sir. That's, man, because I tell you that there's a lot of people that, that see what you're doing, and instead of either congratulating or if you just ask someone, like you said, Dan, speaking on that, a lot of people, they look at everything. Everybody's very aggressive. There's a lot of impatience. There's a lot of, everybody had these ideas and think everything's supposed to happen. And then they look at you and then you become a target because you made it, and they don't know how you made it or what the story is. Or even if they do know, they know that they don't come at it the right way. They don't approach you the right way. There's a lot of haters out here, and a lot of people that want to take you down because of who you are. Like Larry hasn't put in years of work in this. Right. And that somebody just wants to start announcing tomorrow, and they think it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work that way.
It's amazing in general how angry people get at successful people. Like the more successful you come, we talked about him earlier, like Tom Brady's a perfect example of like that you see, and people like freaking hate this guy. They can't and LeBron James, those two, the two I think of, the three I think of like Floyd Mayweather, LeBron James, and Tom Brady, like the greatest of the great. Like, we should all be happy that we've watched these three in their particular fields, that we were alive to witness their greatness. But my God, like the hate that they get from people for just being phenomenal. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing that they're good examples of the better you are at what you do, the more people freaking hate you for it. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
They don't, and I've listened to LeBron interviews. I've listened to Floyd interviews, Tom Brady, and I actually saw a LeBron interview recently. He was sitting in his barbershop on the show talking about people don't want to do the work. Yeah. People don't want to do the work. And sometimes it takes a little bit of luck for some folks, but sometimes You just didn't work hard enough, or you didn't build the right relationships. And all of this is, if anybody's building the military, I'll give people, anybody who needs to know this, I'll give anybody my strategy. Everybody in the world today, if you look at anything, any concept of war, whether you read the art of war or any kind of thing, play Call of Duty. This is Call of Duty. Everybody wants to be so close to the action. Everybody wants to be so close. I approach everything like a sniper. I'm patient. I sit back and I just wait my shot every single time.
Yeah.
I don't care how many people are moving ahead of me. I don't care if this person made the move that I thought of before me. Anyway, congratulations, bro. That was a great move. Now I get an opportunity to sit back and recalibrate. I take my one shot, I reload my gun, and I sit back and I wait again. And that's how I've been able to move. I've been able to carefully, one thing that this game has taught me is that people are going to make mistakes. And you can learn from everybody else what everybody else is doing and what not to do. So I sit back and I say, oh, okay, this person's about to blow up on social media. This person's about to say something. Mm-hmm. And they do it. And or this person's about to do something, or this person's, or this move's about to be made. And when you have a adverse, a sniper shot, I call it a sniper shot mentality, you're able to see the whole field. You're able to see everything instead of trying to just go gung-ho with the knife in the war and you're taken out in 5 seconds. I don't do that. Right. I look at everything from a sniper shot. I'm in my camouflage. I got my weapon. I'm just waiting for that door to open, and I'm gonna take the shot as soon as I see it. And then I'm gonna go about my business. That's how I do everything. And because I don't, you never can let them know. Like Larry, pretty much Larry is saying another way too. To add to that, you can't let them know your next move. You can't let them know what you got coming. You always gotta approach this with the dealer. I'm always going to approach this as the dealer and not the blackjack player. I'm always going to have the cards in my hands every time. So you're never going to know what hand I'm playing next.
And what's that saying? The definition of luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Absolutely.
that's the true definition of luck, when preparation meets opportunity. So, people say, oh, they got lucky. They got this. No, they were just prepared when they get their opportunity. And a lot of times when you're grinding something out, like in what you do and you put your time in, one opportunity at least always presents itself. Maybe you just weren't prepared, but that's what it really comes down to. It wasn't they got lucky. They had that opportunity, but when that opportunity came, they were ready and they were prepared and they hit it out of the park, and that's what really happened. They didn't just get lucky. They were just prepared.
Amen.
I think we'll be seeing a lot of that on Saturday coming up at our Breakthrough and Have a Grace. We've got a lot of people who have been spending the last year and a half that we've been reopened since the pandemic, waiting for just that moment. So if you haven't already got tickets to Breakthrough, there are still tickets available. And I do want to stress that this is an intimate setting venue. So
very intimate. Yeah.
This is, it is a totally different look and feel. So if you are thinking about coming and you're thinking you're going to just wait and get tickets the night of, you might want to go and take care of that online right now at mcwprowrestling.com. Like I said, it is an intimate venue. We really just want these up and coming talent to shine, have that spotlight on them. This is their moment. This is where their preparation and their time to shine are all coming to fruition. This intersection for them where they can really show what they have been doing. Lots of new characters being introduced, just different things going on. So again, get your tickets at mcwprowrestling.com. It is this Saturday, April 16th in Have a Grace at the State Theater. Is that
it's only about 250 people, only have 250 tickets. And there's also some independent talent that have been trying to get in for a couple of years that are going to get an opportunity. So the whole breakthrough concept,
okay.
I
like that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Amen. Go get it, guys. Go get it. Yeah. It's your chance.
Yeah. So
you want me to find out? Join us at the State Theater in Harvard Grace.
I think Tara's given our cue that our time's up.
It's time to go.
Yeah, time to go home.
Honestly, though, Monteasy, we could stay here and chat with you all night. You're so easy to talk to. And like Dan said, you've been nothing but highly respectful every time we've ever met you. And I know that that's, something that stood out in my mind the first time that I met you. And just, that you just seemed like a super cool, chill guy that had a passion that, is not the same as the passion as those of us who have been in the ring, but it's a passion that drives you nonetheless. And you have this shared love for something that we all enjoy, which is wrestling. So I just, I think this was really great that we got to sit down and talk to you and to let our fans know, the man behind the music. So we want to thank you for coming on tonight.
And we look forward to having you in person when we return to the RJ Meyer Arena in Joppa at some point in the near future. We'll look forward to having you as a part of it.
Thank you so much, Tara, Larry, Mr. McDevitt. Thank you guys so much for everything. I am more humbled and blessed. Thank you guys for inviting me on this wonderful evening. Thank you guys for everything you've done for me. And I look forward to seeing the family in person very, very soon again.
And real quick, where on social media can they follow you to stay up? Because you're doing a bunch of different stuff, not just with Sammy Guevara, but you're doing a lot of collab stuff with AEW.
Yes.
So that way where they can find out and kind of follow you and see what other music you're putting out for some of these other big stars in wrestling.
Yes. TZ. Follow me at TZ Jones. Actually, you can follow me for all things at TZ Jones. Twitter, Facebook. Social media, things of that nature. A couple quick announcements. I am me and Swerve just put out our album Tears. If you guys go all digital platforms, and proceed to purchase that album. Beautiful body of work. Me and Kenny King have some more music that we're dropping together. So there's getting a lot of the wrestlers in the studio with me working, and these guys are good. This is not, it's not corny. So thank God.
Yeah, and hey. We never pushed it for you, but can Black Wall Street, can they go download that and buy that like on iTunes?
Yes.
Do they have that? So tell them where they can, because that's something over the years I thought, man, we should do that, at least put it on so that, guys like you artists that are providing this for us and, just allowing us to use it. And we want you to be able to make something. So for people that love the Black Wall Street music, where can they buy it? You know what I mean? And download it.
Go to all the Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Napster, every music platform. Type in Monteasy. If you see an album says The Lost Tapes, that is where that is. Drolix's song is right there. It's number 12, I believe. You guys can go stream it, download it, do whatever you guys want to do with that. It's been on my platform for years because I know Drolix asked me about that a long time ago, and I put it up. So you guys can just go to the Lost Tapes album. You'll see it right there. Also, the music that I made for Leo back in the day, all that's on there.
What about DeMarcus Kane? Is that on there?
That's actually, thank you. I will put that up immediately.
Put that up. Immediately. Get that DeMarcus Kane music up.
I will get that up. I will get that up this week. It will be up.
Very good.
We're going to hold you to that, and that's going to put a bow on this episode of the MCW cast. For co-owner Dan McDevitt, the heart of MCW, Tara, and our very special guest, Monteasy. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you here next Tuesday at 8 for another exciting edition of the MCW Cast.